Okay, so a few tips for taking big data sets, trying to process it. And here I've got World Marathon Progression, marathon, just on Wikipedia. And as I scroll down to the men's world record progression, I see this big table, this big data set. And of course, I'm interested in what the time was for the men's marathon world record to start with, and the year, and how it's progressed through the years. So I'm interested in the column time and the date basically, but I'm going to grab the whole data set all the way down here. So I can click and drag down and highlight everything, then Command C will copy it all. Then I'm going to open a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet. Click and Command V on my MacBook is paste, and we get all this data. We can click on B and then drag across to highlight all the columns. And as you scroll, can you see the little arrow pointing down on the H? If you move between cells, G and H, you click and drag across and you'll just make everything a little bit bigger, just a little bit more readable. So if we click on 5 here, there's the first world record, Johnny Hayes from the United States. There's a year, there's a location. Interesting is the source, IAAF. If you scroll down this column, you can see mostly IAAF, but then ARRS. So that could be interesting to see how reliable is the data. And we can maybe research these two particular sources. And then some notes here, which is also interesting. I mean, this says that Italian Dorando Pietri finished first, but was disqualified. So these are all interesting little points to note. But what I'm really interested in is time and date. So I'm going to highlight all the times. Now you can click once, and then as you're still clicking down, you can scroll down and try and highlight everything, all the dates. But sometimes you go too far and past it, then you have to scroll back up. And you can get there because on Excel it slows down to let you grab the last thing, and that's all highlighted. But I like to click on the first and then just let go of everything, and then scroll down, and then press Shift first and then click on the last, and it will highlight everything in between. So Command C to copy it. I'm going to open up a new tab down the bottom here, Sheet 1, Sheet 2. Click on a cell and then Command V to paste all the data. So here I've got all the times. There's hours, minutes, seconds, and tenths of seconds. Down here, hours, minutes, and just seconds, no tenths of seconds. Okay, back here, and I need the date it was done. The world record was completed. And now same again, Shift and click down the bottom, and click and paste. So two things I'm going to do now. I'm going to process the date. These are all done at different days and different months of the year, but I mean, it's from 1908 all the way through to 2018. So I think I'm just going to type in the actual year. So I'm going to take away all of the previous stuff, July 24th. I'm going to just take it all off. There's a long way of doing this, and there's also a quick way of doing this. So first of all, date here, I'm going to make bold. I'm going to make 14. So you can just copy all these out, right? 1908, 1909, 1909, 1909. So it seems to have come down quite rapidly, right? From 1908 to 1909. And, another 1909 here. 1909. And another 1909. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? That the world record was improved upon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in 1909. And it's gone from 1908 Olympics 255 down to 240. Wow. So in this chunk here, we see a big rapid improvement of the world record. Maybe 1908 was the first Olympic Games where the marathon was run in London, I think. And so maybe that was, I don't know, a trigger for lots and lots of people to run the marathon. And that possibly maybe one of the reasons why the world record improved so dramatically over a short space of time, just from sheer popularity. So that's great, isn't it? But I also want to try something else just to see if this works. So we can enter a formula here. We can put an equals. We can put RT. We can put, R right. And it's interesting because this tells us to take from the right, moving backwards, a certain amount of characters. So can you see right, text, number of characters? So equals enters the formula, and it says from the right hand side of this cell, comma, take 4 characters. So if I do that, see what happens. Alright, so it says the formula here is equals right, from the right of cell D5, and this is D5, right, D5, take 4 characters, and characters are the actual last 4 things that are written, so that's the date. So I'm hoping that if I drag down this formula, look, you've got a big white cross here. If you point to the bottom right, it changes into a black cross. If I drag all the way down to the bottom, then I'm hoping that will, oh yeah, looks pretty good, right? That has sorted all of my dates here into years. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so that's the first trick we've done. We've managed to take all of this data with months and days and years, and by entering a little formula, we've saved a lot of work here. Of course, you could have typed that in right yourself, right? 1908, 1909, 1909, and it wouldn't have taken so long to get all the way down here. But the spreadsheet is king for formulas, and a formula is when you type in equals. Now I'm going to do one more thing to it, and this shouldn't come as a surprise to you because it's what we did in class. I'm going to put date, well, no, let me type it in properly, years since 1908, okay? So sometimes it's nice in a graph to have the first data entry point as year 0, okay? So all I'm going to do is, this would be year 0, because it's 0 years since 1908. This would be year 1, this would be year 1, this would be year 1. Oh, we've got to check this one. This was actually 1909, but you can see it's a different format. So let's just type in 1909. So you need to obviously check all the way down here that you've got the years correctly. And this is obviously 1. But again, we've got a spreadsheet. So if we want to know how many years this is since 1908, it's just a simple subtraction. So in here, equals the date that the world record was set, subtract 1908. Let me just check that. There we go. And if I, again, I can scroll down, but there's also another trick. If you click and double click, it will fill down to the last entry. And look at that, that's filled all the way down. Or you can click and drag down. So this is the number of years since the first world record was set. I'm going to click on F. I'm going to center the data with this little guy and with this little guy here. And oh, and that looks pretty good. And now here I just want the time. So I want the time here. Now because this is hours, minutes and seconds, it's quite problematic, right? Because 2 hours 55 minutes is not 2.55 hours. No, it's nearly 3 hours. So the way we did this in class, we changed it all into seconds. Now the data that you might explore, it might be the fact that the time's in seconds. It might be 100 meters world record or 200 meters. It might be swimming times for the women's 50-meter backstroke, in which case all these times here will already be in seconds, which is great. Or you might choose a distance, maybe a jump or a throw, in which case these might be in meters. So you won't have to do much except just type in or copy and paste the distance in meters or the time in seconds. But to give you a few extra skills, I'm going to show you how I created the original data set. And here I actually created, I did a little bit of work, to be honest with you. I actually typed in all the way down 2 hours, 55 minutes, and I rounded this to the nearest second, 18 seconds, okay? And this I did do, quite labor intensive, 2 hours, 52 minutes and 45 seconds. Those of you who understood the equals right, you might be able to see a quicker way of doing an equals left for these things here. I'll leave it to you to try and work that out. I'll do the first 5, 2 hours, 46 minutes and 53 seconds, right? Near a second. 2 hours, 46 minutes and 5 seconds. I'll do one more. 2 hours and 42 minutes and 31 seconds. Okay, so these are hours, these are mins, and this is seconds. I want to change it all into seconds. So if we think about it, to change minutes into seconds, we just times by 60. To change hours into seconds, we times by 60 and times by 60 again. So we can enter a little formula again in here for time, and we put an equals first. So we take the 2 hours and we change it into seconds. So that's times by 60 and times by 60 again. The times is the little asterisk above the number 8 on your keyboard. And then to it we add on the minutes changed into seconds. So we click on the cell minutes, we change it to seconds times 60. Oh, my bad, 60. And then we put plus the number of seconds and we press enter. Now that 10.518 should look familiar to you. It was the time in seconds for the first world record. And then we can just click on this and drag down, and there we go. We've got our years since 1908. We've got our time, and we can put that time / seconds. So there you go. You can just do that a number of times. As soon as you fill all of the later cells, you can click, you can drag down this formula, and this formula is just waiting for you to enter the next one. Let me show you. 2 hours, 40 minutes, and 34 seconds. Okay, so it automatically updates, and you have this beautiful data set. You can finish it off by highlighting it all the way down here, and you can center things like this, and you can click on the all borders, and that is really nice. So there's all your data right there.